Chapter 201 Empress Sword, Empress Palm, Empress Chill. Who are you? Nodded. Nui Tian said, in the extreme north, there are 3 strong soul beasts known as the 3 heavenly kings of the extreme north. You should know this. They are the Snow Empress, the Ice Empress and the Titan Snow Devil King. Among the 3 of them, the Snow Empress and Ice Empress are also among the 10 great savage beasts, and are some of the strongest soul beasts around. Your Ice Empress came from the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion. You should be clear about its abilities. The Snow Empress is even more legendary than the Ice Empress. There's a sentence that's commonly used to describe the Snow Empress 3 ultimate technique sword and palm sends the sky into a chill. The Empress Sword, Palm, and Chill. Empress Chill is the domain type skill that you teamed up with her to unleash. However, I can tell that this skill has undergone some transformations after it fused with your Ice Jade Empress Scorpion. It's become stronger. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to possess such a strong domain type soul skill with your current cultivation. The domain type skill that's called the Empress Chill is also known as the Snowy Dance of Ultimate Ice. According to legend, the Snow Empress can change the region in the extreme north that's most suitable for her to fight into her domain. As snowflakes dance in the air, that domain becomes a forbidden ground. Even sunlight can't compare to it. The Empress Palm was the palm you used on Titan previously. There are many stories surrounding the Empress Palm. It is said that no one is immune to it. The only way to survive it is to avoid getting struck by it. While it's very strong, it's limited by the fact that it has to strike the opponent before its power can be unleashed. The name of this Empress Palm is called Snowless Glacier. The strike that you use to complement the Snowy Dance of Ultimate Ice is very strong. It seemed to compress the entire domain into it. It was also my first time experiencing the power of the Snowless Glacier. If the Snow Empress was the one using it, I don't think we could have avoided it even if we tried our best. The Empress Sword was the last skill you used. Unparalleled Chill, Empress Sword. There's no sword that can compare to it. It's really very strong. Even Titan had to unleash his martial soul before he could resist that strike. However, he was still frozen in place. I think it's also very difficult for a Soul Emperor to resist this strike of yours. With these 3 soul skills, I believe you've managed to unleash the capabilities of Ice to their fullest. Who are you? I repeated what Nui Tian had said and committed it to memory. Sword and Palm sends the sky into a chill. The Empress Sword, Palm, and Chill. The Snow Empress 3 ultimate techniques were very domineering. However, the Snow Empress had added 4 soul rings to his body. What did the last orange gold soul ring represent? Who are you? I knew how strong the 3 soul skills he had used were. Their powers were greater than all the Ice type soul skills he possessed. Not only this, but he also felt that the Ice Empress soul skills were much stronger with the help of the Snow Lady. It was like how the Eye of Destiny enhanced the Spirit Eye soul skills. Even the 2 Sect masters were awed. This time, Who are you? As reward was greater than expected. Evidently, the completion of the Snow Empress spirit seemed to be better than if he had absorbed the Snow Empress and removed the seal on her before absorbing her soul bone. In both cases, he would obtain 4 soul skills. Although the Snow Empress spirit took up 4 soul ring spots, her assistive abilities were far superior to any soul skills. Moreover, the Snow Lady looked like she would grow along with him. If there came a day that he could become a transcendent Douluo, the Snow Empress might possibly be perfectly resurrected. Titan only managed to force the chill out his body at this point. His right arm was slowly regaining feeling. That gust of cold was indeed powerful, and it went all the way to my heart. If I didn't seal my blood flow, I would have been in deep trouble. While Titan was very short-tempered, he was a very direct and steady person. Nui Tian replied, it's because of your fighting habits. You try to resist every attack forcefully because your body is resilient. Now you've suffered. If this were the real Snow Empress, you would have been in real trouble even if you didn't die from the strike. Titan chortled and said, I'm facing Who are you? If it were the Snow Empress, I wouldn't let her hit me so easily. Honestly speaking, I'd really like to spar with the Snow Empress after seeing the 3 ultimate techniques. I want to see who's stronger. Nui Tian said to Who are you? You've mastered the soul skills that the Snow Lady bestowed on you. You need to practice more and combine them with your own abilities so that you can fully unleash them. Continue to practice here. We'll return first. Wait a minute. Titan said suddenly. From his face, it seemed like he was unconvinced. What was the skill that she wanted to use just now? Since it wasn't added to you, it should be your own soul skill. I'd like to know what soul skill you possess that can harm me, such that you stopped her. Am I so weak to you? Who are you? Felt a little awkward as he scratched his head. As he looked at Titan's eyes, he knew that it wasn't an option to lie. He could only answer honestly. She wanted to use my ice explosion technique. Your body and your arm would have been frozen by the unparalleled chill and Snowless Glacier respectively. I used the Snowless Glacier with my left hand, which is fused with the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion left arm bone and contains the ice explosion technique. She wanted to blow you apart from the inside and outside. The ice explosion technique has a special trait that's similar to the Snowless Glacier. They can only be fully unleashed when they contact their target. That's why the soul power in your arm was assimilated into the ice explosion technique, which means that your soul power would have been used in the explosion, along with the absolute zero temperature of the unparalleled chill. I'm afraid. The more Titan heard his words, the more shocked he was. His eyes also widened as he looked at the Snow Lady. Even his mouth was wide open. Little wretch, you're too vicious. Titan's saliva was about to flow out. He only shut his mouth at this point. The Snow Lady's reply to him was very simple. She lowered her head instantly and extended her index fingers before pressing them together while showing an indignant look. It was like she was telling him to punish her because she did something wrong. Titan felt a gust of breath rising to his chest as he saw her, but he forced it down. He had to bear it no matter how uncomfortable it was. He couldn't possibly lose his temper in front of her. As Nui Tian held in his laughter in one side, he was also shocked. This ice explosion technique was impressive. Both he and Titan knew what kind of soul skill it was, just like how the Snow Empress 3 ultimate techniques were very representative of the Snow Lady. The Ice Jade Empress Scorpion's lineage also had their symbolic soul skills, while the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion's lineage had more soul skills than the Ice Beast Snow Lady's lineage. The ice explosion technique was undoubtedly the strongest among all those that Hua Yua had mastered to this point. Once one was infected by it, they would have to bear the backlash of the explosion of their own soul power no matter how strong they were. No matter how strong one's defenses were, there was no way to defend against an internal explosion of one's own soul power. If it was only the ice explosion technique, Nui Tian and Titan wouldn't be afraid, given their cultivations. That was because the ice explosion technique couldn't overcome the external defenses of their soul power. If they couldn't be frozen, the ice explosion technique couldn't be poured into their bodies. However, when the ice explosion technique fused with the Empress Palm and Snowless Glacier, it would be very difficult for them to neutralize it. There was only one way to deal with it, prevent Hua Yua's left hand from hitting them. It would be very easy to avoid being struck by his hand now that they knew the secret. However, no one else in the world knew about it. Titan glared at the Snow Lady for a long time, but he couldn't spout anything harsh. His expression turned dismal, and he finally said, "You've won." After he finished speaking, he turned around with a snort and walked back towards Clear Sky Castle. Hua Yua was a little worried as he watched Titan leave. He didn't pursue him though. Titan couldn't bear to deal with the Snow Lady, but that didn't mean that he wouldn't like him. He looked at Nui Tian as if he were asking for help and said, "Uncle Nui, Uncle Tai." Nui Tian chortled and said, "Don't worry, he's fine. He's just a little frustrated. It's a little strange though. He seems to have some kind of affinity with the Snow Lady. If it was someone else, he would have raged. Things will be fine when his anger dissipates." As he spoke, a fart that sounded like rumbling thunder came from the direction of Clear Sky Castle. Someone was rubbing his stomach and muttering relaxedly to himself. It feels so much better to let it out. Hua Yua's face stiffened. Is this how he vents his frustration? The Snow Lady was even more direct. She held onto her nose and quickly crawled her way into Hua Yua's body. Nui Tian also twisted his lips and patted Hua Yua's shoulder. He said, "Don't worry, he's fine." However, the powers of the ice explosion technique and Snowless Glacier are indeed great. You can use that combination as your killer move in the future. However, don't tell anyone about this secret. After all, it's obvious that it can only work at close range. All right, Hua Yua replied. Nui Tian was slightly stunned and smiled. All right, take some time to figure things out. After he finished speaking, he also returned to Clear Sky Castle. When he reached the gate, he left the gate open for some time before he entered. After that, Nui Tian's furious groans resonated from inside the castle. "Titan, come out. Your fart is too smelly. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Huo Yuao finally laughed. These two Sect masters were really interesting, and they were really warm at heart. Huo Yuao felt very good as they slowly accepted him. Although Titan was fierce towards him, he didn't use any attacks or restrictive soul skills against him during their sparring. He had acted like a target board and allowed Huo Yuao to attack him. Otherwise, Huo Yuao wouldn't have been able to use any of his soul skills. Given Titan's cultivation, I must work hard and improve my coordination with the Snow Lady. He checked his condition, starting with his remaining soul power. Even after the series of explosions, he still had more than half of his soul power left. His recovery was also rather quick. The chilly wind on clear sky peaks seemed to be a force that he could absorb. His soul power restorative abilities had increased by 20% compared to normal. Without a doubt, these were benefits brought about by the Snow Lady. As long as he was near a cold or moist environment, his restorative abilities would be greatly enhanced. Furthermore, he could clearly sense that the snowless glacier didn't deplete his soul power, but instead enabled its recovery. It was as if the attack was unleashed after he had absorbed all the strength in the snowy dance of ultimate ice. It was an unbelievably strong soul skill. Not only did the Snow Empress spirit help to increase his fighting strength, but she also increased his ability to last in a fight. Huo Yuao found a spot at the top of the mountain and sat cross-legged on the ground. He entered deep meditation. He needed to calm himself down to think about how he should better combine his own abilities with the Snow Empress 3 ultimate techniques. In addition, he also pondered how he should use and control the changes the Snow Lady had brought to him. There was one thing he was certain of. If the battlefield was in the extreme north, he was able to fight a 7-ring soul sage with a martial soul true body, given the Snow Lady's immense strength. Through this thinking process, Huo Yuao immersed himself in a meditative state. It was very strange, but the wind and fog would disappear as they drifted in front of him. There was a layer of orange covering his body. The Snow Lady seemed to adore this environment. She sat on Huo Yuao's shoulder, and even adopted a cross-legged position. As she sat there quietly, she looked like a ceramic doll. Only the subtle orange gold light shining from her revealed how different she was. Huo Yuao was immersed in his cultivation for 2 consecutive days. Nui Tian and Titan didn't bother him either, as they allowed him to comprehend on his own. Huo Yuao rarely returned to his room. He spent most of his time on the mountain peak, looking at the sea of clouds and reminiscing over his teacher who had passed away. He also sensed the changes in his body. This carried on until, I'm back. A bright bluish gold light appeared in the sky. Huo Yuao subconsciously lifted his head to look at it, and saw Wang Dong descending from the sky towards him. Huo Yuao opened his mouth and said, "Why did you return from the sky? Can you fly so high using your martial soul?" Conservative estimates put the clear sky peak at 3,000 meters high. Even a tidal Douluo can't fly so high in the air. It might be possible if a tidal Douluo used a class 9 flying type soul tool. The higher the sky, the thinner the air. Soul masters need to breathe as they regulate their soul power. Even if your martial soul has wings, you can't possibly fly so high. Wang Dong laughed mysteriously. This is a secret of the Clear Sky Sect. I can't tell you unless you're one of us. Huo Yuao said, "If I hadn't joined the Tang Sect, I could have joined the Clear Sky Sect. However, I evidently can't join your sect now." Wang Dong replied, "That doesn't have to be the case. There might be some other way in the future. Let's not talk about that though. Did you miss me these few days I was gone?" Huo Yuao laughed. "Why would I miss you? You're not even a girl. If you introduce your sister to me, I might miss her instead." Wang Dong snorted. "Look at how you choose lust over friendship." Huo Yuao chortled. "So what? What benefits have you gained from this trip?" Wang Dong straightened both his index and middle fingers. Settled. Huo Yuao asked, "What soul skill?" Wang Dong replied, "It's a secret. You'll know when you return from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. You just need to know that it's very strong." Huo Yuao laughed mysteriously and said, "All right, it's fine if you don't tell me. I also have a secret, but I'm not sure whether you're interested in listening to it." "What secret?" Wang Dong was curious as he looked at him. Huo Yuao mimicked his words. "You'll know when I return from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. You just need to know that it's very strong." "You?" Wang Dong snorted furiously. "I went all the way to the Sun Moon Empire to find you. Did you think it was easy? You're still playing such a trick on me. Are you still human?" Huo Yuao found it very amusing when he saw Wang Dong putting his hand on his waist with a displeased look. "All right, I'll show you. Snow Lady, come out." Huo Yuao called, and an orange gold light suddenly flashed. The Snow Lady flew out, and her white undergarment moved slightly. She floated between Huo Yuao and Wang Dong while facing the ladder. When the Snow Lady appeared, Wang Dong was stunned. As he saw her, the look in his eyes became gentler. "Wow, what a cute lady. What's going on?" Wang Dong asked as he reached out to touch her. "No." Huo Yuao warned him. After what had happened to Titan, he was afraid that she would hurt Wang Dong. She wasn't harmless. Even if she didn't use soul skills along with Huo Yuao, she was still comparable to a Soul King on her own. She was even at the level of a Soul King with the ultimate ice. However, Huo Yuao was astonished to discover that the Snow Lady wasn't resistant towards Wang Dong. She allowed him to touch her delicate face. After that, she crawled her way into his arms and allowed him to carry her. She took 1 second to win Wang Dong over. Wang Dong looked like a girl from the way he looked at her. "She's too cute. Her skin is so smooth. It's very nice to touch. Give me a kiss." As he spoke, he placed her in front of his lips and pecked her cheek. The Snow Lady laughed and didn't resist. She returned his kiss. Wang Dong twisted his head suddenly and allowed her to peck his cheek. He also said very sternly, "You can't kiss her. Men and women can't be in such close contact." Huo Yuao was amused. "You've already hugged and kissed her before you told her that men and women can't be in such close contact. What's going on, Snow Lady? You're so young but you've already set your eyes on handsome guys. You don't even want your daddy now." "Daddy? You're her daddy?" Wang Dong's eyes widened, and he shot Huo Yuao a weird look. If Huo Yuao had to describe this look, he would say that it was aggressive. "Why are you so agitated? It's just her way of referring to me. Snow Lady, come back." Huo Yuao was slightly jealous. He was a little unhappy seeing how close the Snow Lady and Wang Dong were. Wang Dong let go of her and allowed her to fly back into Huo Yuao's arms. After that, he took a step in front of him and stared at him furiously. His voice was trembling as he asked, "When did you have a daughter? Tell me. What's wrong with you, Wang Dong?" Huo Yuao asked, confused. Wang Dong grabbed his collar. "Tell me, is it because of Juzi? You are letting me and my sister down." Huo Yuao was puzzled. "What nonsense are you blabbering about? What does this have to do with your sister or Juzi? Didn't you hear what I called her? Snow Lady?" Wang Dong was stunned. Huo Yuao now recognized the problem. Although he had been very honest to the Sect masters, there were many things he hadn't told Wang Dong. He was a little apologetic right now. "There are some things that I need to tell you." Wang Dong's face turned a little pale, and he took 2 steps back. "I don't want to listen to you. Don't tell me." After he finished speaking, he ran towards Clear Sky Castle. "What's going on? What's going on?" Huo Yuao felt like he was going blank. Why was Wang Dong so abnormal? He couldn't just let Wang Dong run away. However, and thus he pursued him. The Snow Lady offered him help. She pointed forward, and a streak of deep blue light flashed. The gate of Clear Sky Castle was frozen shut. Wang Dong seemed to have realized something. He stopped and looked at Huo Yuao before glancing at the Snow Lady. He said, "All right, tell me." Huo Yuao quickly came in front of him and explained everything between him and the Snow Empress, as well as his teacher. He even recounted how he had met the Ice Empress in the extreme north. He only excluded the secret regarding the Sky Dream Ice Worm. Wang Dong was shocked as he listened to Huo Yuao's explanations. "Are you saying that your second martial soul isn't innate? It only became your second martial soul after you fused with the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion? And 2 of the 3 heavenly kings are in your body? Heavens. So it's like that. You've been keeping it a secret for a long time." Huo Yuao laughed bitterly. "Wang Dong, don't be angry. Think about it. If you were me, could you tell this secret to anyone? I'm scared of being dissected. Everything else aside, just the soul bones I possess are already very valuable." Wang Dong calmed down. "I'm not angry." He refuted immediately. You're just like the weather in April, changing all the time. Were you fooling me just now? What can you do if I'm fooling around with you?" Wang Dong answered righteously. "You win." Huo Yuao was suddenly reminded of the helplessness Titan felt when he faced the Snow Lady. "Spirit. Interesting. I didn't know that soul masters could possess such a spirit apart from soul rings and soul bones. Yuao, are you confident in your ability to create another one?" Wang Dong asked. Hu Yuao said, theoretically speaking, it's possible, and it won't be as dangerous as the Snow Lady. After all, the strength of the Snow Empress was too great. In addition, it happened because of some misfortune. Even so, one will have to pay a huge price in terms of his spiritual power if he wants to fuse with a spirit. From my calculations, it will be more difficult to fuse and contract a spirit the stronger it is. Do you want to try? Wang Dong was eager as he replied, of course. Don't forget that I have twin martial souls too. If you can fuse with a 700,000-year Snow Empress, why can't I fuse with a spirit that's of lower cultivation and suits me? Hu Yuao asked. When do you plan on doing so? Wang Dong asked. When will you be absolutely confident? Hu Yuao said. I'm not sure about absolute confidence, because I've never tried controlling the fusion of a spirit. It's a pity that teacher. His words trailed off, and he looked a little down. Wang Dong patted his shoulder. Yuao, don't be sad. Didn't my eldest and second uncle mention that your teacher went off peacefully? Furthermore, he has already left an indelible mark on the continent by creating a spirit. What you should be doing is carrying on his legacy. I don't mind being your test subject. I don't think you can create a spirit as strong as the Snow Empress. While it was dangerous then, it created you and the Snow Lady. Perhaps the spirit that you create for me will only take up one soul ring? After the next Elite Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament, come to the Clear Sky Sect again. We have many disciples that can help you with the experiment and complete it. Hu Yuao nodded agreement and said, we need to try first. Wang Dong replied, I'll tell eldest and second uncle when I return. I'll ask them not to add soul rings for the disciples who are at their bottlenecks. We'll find some soul beasts who are dying. Many of them die because they can't break through their bottlenecks. I'm sure it won't be that difficult to find some. Soul beasts' bottlenecks didn't just occur when they were at the 100,000-year level. For lower-level soul beasts, every 100 years represented a barrier they had to cross. This barrier would then continue to every 1,000 years, and slowly advance to 10,000 years before reaching 100,000 years. For every 100,000 years, the difficulty of improving would escalate. Otherwise, those soul beasts who had existed for a long time would all be at the 100,000-year level. Hu Yuao was comforted. If we can use such a method to resolve the dilemma between soul masters and soul beasts, it will be very good. Even if this can't resolve the dilemma completely, I'm sure it'll alleviate the situation. Wang Dong had returned after successfully obtaining his 6th soul ring. This also meant that they were going to leave Clear Sky Castle. After bidding farewell to Nui Tian and Titan, the two of them descended from Clear Sky Peak. They proceeded south, and finally bade goodbye to each other at the center between the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy and Shrek Academy. They weren't so reluctant to separate this time compared to the previous time. After all, Hu Yuao only had a few months left in the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. After those few months, he would return to Shrek. For some reason, Hu Yuao felt that Wang Dong was acting very mysteriously when they separated. He was even a little coy, and watched him with a weird expression. However, he didn't think about it too much, and told most of his secrets to Wang Dong. To him, it was a form of release. Just like the two sect masters had said, he was able to survive on his own with the Snow Empress spirit. As long as he continued to work hard, his abilities would increase faster and faster. After he gathered all 5 soul rings for his second martial soul, Hu Yuao's soul power had also managed to increase. His cultivation speed was also increasing during this period of time. Although he couldn't compare to Wang Dong yet, the influence his ultimate martial soul had on his cultivation had dropped after he had obtained the Snow Lady. After turning back to look at Wang Dong as he left, Hu Yuao activated his flying type soul tool and flew back to the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. Before leaving, he had one more important thing to do. The last few months would be very important. Wang Dong looked back just as Hu Yuao did. He turned back to look into the distance, and a red glow appeared on his face. He really is a fool. As he spoke, he retrieved the pouch and recalled what Nui Tian had said to him before he left the Clear Sky Sect. Wang Dong, both of us think that Hu Yuao is a decent young man. He's much more mature than most others of the same age, and his feelings for you are true. However, whether both of you can reach that stage will depend on your affinities. If both of you reach that stage one day, give him this pouch. I didn't make it. It was personally made by your biological father. Your father said that someone is only fit to be with you if they can complete what's stated in the pouch. When will my father return? Why can't I remember his appearance? I'm not sure, either. However, I'm certain that your parents will come back when you set up a family. Then I shall do it earlier. You can't. You can't play with your lifelong happiness. Keep the pouch. Remember not to peek at it. Your father sealed it with his spiritual power. You won't be able to see the contents. As he shook the blue pouch, Wang Dong was curious. What's inside this pouch? Why must you see it? What does my father want? As he thought to that point, he was evidently unhappy. My parents have never returned to see me, but they're still meddling in my affairs. Humph. Although he thought this way, he still put the pouch away carefully. I wonder whether I can give this pouch to him when he returns from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. As he thought up to that point, his ears started to turn red. When Hu Yuao returned to the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, Lin Jia heaved a sigh of relief. He was initially anxious because Hu Yuao had been gone for a long time without returning. After Hu Yuao returned, he reported it to Jing Hengchen. Jing Hengchen hadn't had the mood to deal with matters in the academy recently. The competition for the throne had reached a critical moment. Although the crown prince held a big advantage, his disadvantage was also very obvious. As a cripple, he would damage the reputation of the empire. His competitors attacked his point, and all the while, the emperor's physical condition was getting worse and worse. That was why Jing Hengchen's only wish at this point was for the student exchange to be completed smoothly and safely. He didn't want to pull any tricks at this moment, as he needed to wait until matters regarding the crown prince were settled. He didn't make his choices easily, but he had to obtain final victory once he made his decision. After returning to the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, Hu Yuao started living a peaceful life. However, the pace of his life was evidently faster. Sun Swen noticed this, since he was Hu Yuao's teacher. Hu Yuao usually used ordinary metals when he researched and created soul tools. He couldn't really bear to use the rare metals he had obtained from the illustrious Virtue Hall. However, Sun Swen now saw that Hu Yuao was starting to use all types of rare metals when creating soul tools. He even requested his teachers help to create some alloys. He busied himself with creating soul tools, and even did some simple experiments. Even with Sun Swen's understanding of soul tools, he didn't understand what Hu Yuao was doing all this for. He could subtly sense that Hu Yuao was creating something similar to the Duke of Divine Crossbow, which had shocked him previously. However, this soul tool was much more complex. Sun Swen did ask him once, but Hu Yuao's only reply was always a smile. He didn't evade him, but he always completed the most critical components in his room. Sun Swen could only see the accessory components of the soul tool he was creating. Although he did develop some formation arrays, there weren't much to look at, since Sun Swen was the one who had taught them to Hu Yuao. Just like that, time passed day by day. For an entire 4 months, Hu Yuao seemed to be completely immersed in his work, and didn't interact with others at all. He was busy creating and researching soul tools every day. Besides that, he would meditate. He hopped between the laboratory and his dorm room every day, going nowhere else. He spoke very little, and even Fanu reckoned he was going to do something big. However, Fanu didn't probe. This was the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. It wasn't too late to wait until they returned to Shrek. He had absolute confidence in this student of his. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.